Yo, what's good, my dares? Get it? Let's get straight into 9 teams for Lauma, starting with this Baizhu team. Baiju's one of my favourite characters in the game, so it's nice to bring him off a bench in a team where not only is he genuinely useful, he's one of the strongest options. Xingqiu's got the Hydro application, and Nilou is making the blooms even bloomier. Only downside of this team is that with there being 2 characters in the team currently being run, you might struggle for Primo gems. That's where loot bar come in. They sell in-game currency for all kinds of gachas, including Genshin Impact and Star Rail, and it's up to 25% cheaper than in-game. My favourite thing is they're running a special promotion for 6.0 at the moment with lower prices on various bundles. They even have specific vouchers for 6.0 so you can save even more. I find the in-game prices are too expensive to justify buying, but the loot bar prices are worth it. They've worked with other creators you might have heard of like Jello Impact and Raiden Shotgun and have over 25,000 positive Trustpilot reviews. They're completely safe and I use them myself. You only need the UID and server and your crystals will go through immediately. Check the link in the description to grab some discounts. For our next team, Fairy Crafters are saying this one is Lauma's strongest bloom team. I personally prefer the Baizhu one for comfort, but this one's going to definitely be better in AoE situations. People have been begging for a free-to-play HP sword for Nilou since 3.1 and the devs are finally giving people what they want. The Notcry Craftable, Serenity's Call, gives 61 energy recharge from the secondary stats, but also up to 64% HP from the passive. For those that don't have either of the only 2 HP swords currently in the game, that's going to be big for your Nilou. Another good thing about this team for free-to-plays is that if you don't have Kokomi, you can always just use Barbara. Whatever content you're clearing with Kokomi in a Lauma team, you'll also be able to clear with Barbara in a place, just a little bit slower. This new Valette team is arguably Lauma's strongest currently in the game. Every other patch gives this dusty wet salamander a new unit, and this one's no different with him having a solid Hyperbloom team now, cause why not? Playing his older teams without Notcry units might have been an issue going into Notcry with enemies having new mechanics. He worked with a Nefer, but being able to put Lauma in there too, with Farina in the last slot, gives us a strong team that will likely counter any new mechanics. He's good against the Cactus, will also be good in Lunar Charge teams against Knuckle Duckle that we saw in the livestream. Being able to synergize with Lauma covers more ground and it makes it more likely he'll stay relevant throughout the whole of Notcry. Cave's getting some love this patch. He can self-sustain even with Lunar Bloom, but Xingqiu gives another small layer of comfort. Cave will hold Deepwood, Lauma has Serenade, Nilou on a 2-piece, and Xingqiu on Flower of Lost Paradise. If you find the team needs more energy, you can give Cave Favonia's Greatsword, but if the team's okay for energy, give him the 5.8 Event Claymore. It gives him 165 Elemental Mastery, and when he triggers Lunar Bloom, he'll get another 120 Elemental Mastery for 15 seconds. It also recovers 24 energy. If you have Zyphos on Xingqiu, building him for Elemental Mastery will give himself and the team energy recharge too. I'm a big fan of Cave as I know a lot of people are, but up to now I've been underwhelmed by his power in the meta as I know a lot of people have. I'm sure we'll get a more powerful driver for this team in the future, but it's nice to know Cave has an actually good team now. Cyno's another Sumeru character that benefits from Lauma. The new Valette team is definitely better, but it's nice to give Cyno some play because it's been so long. You can give Cyno the new DPS set and I'm sure it'll probably work out at more damage, but honestly, I just prefer Thunder and Fury. I like the skill cooldown reduction. Ballad of the Fjords is a good weapon to give him here because he can use the crit rate and Elemental Mastery. Inef's on Gilded, Xingqiu's on Serenade, the new support set, and Lauma's on Deepwood. Cyno being an Elemental Mastery scaler also means he'll benefit from Inef's passive that gives the on-fielder Elemental Mastery. I'd say this team's underwhelming for AoE as expected, but it's probably stronger in single target than people would assume given the amount of slander Cyno gets. To anyone who has him, this might be his strongest team yet. Now, Lauma also buffs Burgeon, so I felt I'd include a Burgeon team too. Rather than going with 5-star healers, I used Yao Yao and then we've got Toma as the trigger. Energy was an issue, but getting some Favonius weapons in there solved it. Overall, I felt this was a very comfy team, but the damage felt a little low. I just don't think Burgeon is as good as Hyperbloom. Maybe it was my builds? So I had Lauma on Deepwood, Toma on Flower of Lost Paradise, Xingqiu on Serenade, and Yao Yao on Instructor. The Moon Sign is only level 1, so maybe Emblem would be better on Xingqiu? If any Fairy Crafters are watching this and have any advice there, it'd be appreciated. I'd say it's one character away from being strong, so maybe a dedicated Burgeon trigger in the future, or a sustain that does a bit more than Yao Yao. Realistically, she's not bringing a whole lot to this team. You may have noticed a lot of Sumeru characters are getting indirect buffs from Lauma's release, and Alhaitham's no exception. One thing he has over C0, who we talked about earlier, is that Alhaitham benefits from Lauma's Dendro Shred. Inef's Elemental Mastery buff is useful to him too, because he scales off it. With Inefa bringing the Moonsign level up to 2, you can give Alhaitham the new Nodcry DPS set. If you don't have Inefa, Cookie's a free-to-play option. The benefit of Cookie over Inefa is that, with the team being Moonsign level 1, Lauma's passive buffs Hyper Bloom, whereas the Inefa team buffs Lunar Bloom, which isn't as useful here. Lauma's holding Deepwood again, Inefa's on Flower of Paradise Lost. If you go for Cookie, she'll be the same. If you have Inefa in the team, I'd give Xingqiu 4-piece Serenade, if not Emblem. And Alhaitham's on the new DPS set, but if you don't have it, he can hold Gilded. This next one's a throwback. I enjoyed people using Razor in what to me felt like a bit of a random BS Go team, but there was a logic to it. People used to playing with Nahida and Xingqiu to create Bloom Seeds. Now with a C6 Bennett and Razor's ult form, Razor was hitting with both Electro and Pyro at the same time, triggering Burgeons, Hyper Blooms, Overloaded, and all sorts of different reactions. Lauma is an interesting addition to the side. At Moonsign level 1, she's enabling Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon to crit. There's also the added quality of life with Lauma over Nahida that you don't have to reapply Nahida's skill. I recommend Mail Flower on Razor, but if you don't have it, you can get some good use out of that R5 Rain Slasher that's sat in your inventory collecting dust. For his artifacts, give him 4-piece Gilded or Flower of Paradise Lost, and you'll just want to go for Elemental Mastery and about 170 energy recharge. If you're having trouble getting that energy, you can give him Favonius Greatsword, but you'll want to consider crit rates then. This was one of my favourite teams on the entire list. It's good in single target and AoE. I remember using the Nahida version of the team against the Kenki Bros, and it was coming close to some of the best AoE teams on my account. Getting experimental again because of all the Sumeru nostalgia, I thought I'd see if I could make a Fridge team work. The idea is you create Bloom Seeds, but then the Cryo reacts with the Hydro, given the fact it can't react with Dendro, and freezes enemies. It didn't used to be good, because Bloom itself was bad without Nalu, and Nalu won't work if there's Cryo in the team, and the Cryo options weren't dealing much damage anyway. Since then though, we've had Escoffia, a strong Hydro pair with Nuvolette and Farina, and now Lauma. Escoffia doesn't get the full shred from her passive, but Lauma provides some Hydro shred from hers, and there are so many damage sources here, I don't think it matters. Is it the strongest team in the video? No, but it's the strongest Fridge team I've played, so I recommend giving it a go. For a score out of 10, I'd give Lauma a 9. She's flexible, easy to build, can work in free-to-play teams, but if you have some of the most synergistic units, she's a support in one of the strongest teams in the game. I'm dropping a video with Ino teams soon and maybe a Nalu guide too, so if you're interested in those, subscribe to the channel and take it easy.